my name is Fiona Murphy. I'm a deaf poet and essayist based in Western Sydney. I grew up in Bankstown and I went to school in Sefton and Lidcombe, and I'm really proud to be able to contribute to the WestWords YouTube channel. I think there's a lot of really exciting writing that's coming out of Western Sydney, and it's such a thrill to be a part of that. My debut memoir, The Shape of Sound, is out now through Text Publishing, and it's about my experience of growing up with hearing loss. I was born profoundly deaf in my left ear, and in my late 20s, early 30s, I was diagnosed with otosclerosis, which is a condition that is causing the bones in my ear to harden, and I'm progressively losing my residual hearing. For most of my life, I kept my deafness a secret. It was something I was ashamed of, and I didn't want to inconvenience anyone. And I also didn't want to be thought to be deaf and dumb. So I spent a lot of my life passing as somebody with hearing, complete hearing. And that's been really challenging. And a lot of the time I hid my confusion in conversations, and I kind of downplayed whenever I was lost or overwhelmed with noisy environments. Unfortunately, this is a pretty common kind of experience with hearing loss, and it's something that I hope to see change with more and more deaf writing being published and released in the world. Today I'm going to be reading from the chapter In Sound from my memoir. It's about when I'm in my mid-20s and I try hearing aids for the first time, which is a pretty incredible experience. Okay, I'll read now. Why now? The audiologist asked after I sat down. I've heard the technology has changed a lot, I replied. She nodded as she delicately measured my ears. Your ears are the size of a child's. I'll have to order the smallest pair. 2 weeks before the appointment, I had typed one deaf ear into Google. I'd recently met several people with hearing aids who were ecstatic about them. It's just like before, they said. Actually, probably even better than before. Better, better, better. The beat of better drummed in my head. Had a new type of hearing aid been invented? Something smaller, faster, slicker, something that could make me better. The search engine suggested that instead of one deaf ear, I must be looking for unilateral deafness. I casually scrolled through the search results, expecting to find brand names of hearing aids, but recoiled when I read the impact of unilateral deafness. Irritability, social isolation, jumpiness, frequent headaches. One of the entries described people with unilateral deafness as often misdiagnosed with ADHD and suffering from, quote, chronic interpersonal communication difficulties, their body language and mannerisms awkward or unusual as they stare at other people's mouths or tilt their heads frequently in an almost bird-like manner. As I read through the list, each dot point collided with a memory, feeling frantic with confusion during conversations, becoming swamped with fatigue in a crowded room, the shrill headaches that took days to shake, the grip of tension I felt whenever I walked through crowds. I pictured my head bobbing along to conversations, pecking at words without breaking eye contact. Bile racing up my midline, I kept reading. People with unilateral deafness are often perceived as boorish, domineering, socially awkward, and evasive. The descriptors seemed like neat euphemisms. Memories are being called cold, robotic, unrelenting, calculating, and unfeeling reared up. Unlike during my hypochondriac moments, I was now confronted by a clinical description. Why did I ever think that I could pass as hearing? My feelings of unease were no longer self-contained. I immediately booked an appointment at the closest audiology clinic, only a 20-minute walk away. I had to wait 2 weeks before things could get better. By then the list had become a subsonic hum, reverberating through me each time I looked at someone's lips or tilted my head to hear better. You are boorish, awkward, evasive. The beat of better changed to a dull drone. Broken, broken, broken. During the fortnight before my appointment, I stared at advertisements for hearing aids. In one, the text beneath a photograph of a man holding the hand of a much younger woman said, "My midlife crisis is obvious. My hearing aid is not." The technology described as discreet. Perhaps my secret would be mine to keep. And that's from my memoir, The Shape of Sound. In it, I also describe the process of becoming a part of the deaf community and learning Auslan, which was a life-changing experience to go from being so ashamed of my hearing loss to discovering it's something I could be proud of and excited and open about. 1 in 6 Australians have some hearing loss health concern, be that deafness or tinnitus, amongst a range of other issues. So it's incredibly common, and more than likely that you know somebody in your life with a hearing health issue. My book covers a whole range of ways that you can communicate more clearly with people with hearing health concerns and be more empathetic to understanding what it's like to live in a body that can't hear as well as other bodies, and that this can be a proud and exciting thing. Thanks so much for having me.